Anyhow, we got another thing here, a little history for the folks, because this learned me something, Brian, that I didn't really know before. I didn't know the details about this story. It's a famous story inside the wrestling business that's been told in the locker rooms for the past 65 years. But I didn't actually know the details, and I think people have forgotten some of them, but it's kind of apropos to bring this up because of the talk about Roger Jackson and Psycho Stu and all this malarkey going on with people not being smart, being allowed in the business, or people hitting the ring and aren't smart, or whatever the case. Things have always happened. Now, of course, we said that there was not usually the case where everybody involved was in some degree culpable, and there was a lot of stupidity and unprofessionalism going on to go all the way around at the show out in California here recently. But there were always incidents related to people who weren't smart that were still maybe connected in some fashion to the actual wrestling business or the people on the wrestling program going on. And the other day we talked about George Goulas' TV promo that he had done that ended up on YouTube. And I mentioned I'd seen it as part of the Savoldi's library that they had. And somebody emailed me a newspaper article from the Oklahoma City Times, Saturday, May 28th, 1960, on Angelo Savoldi, who was one of the Savoldi family at the time, was a top guy in the Leroy McGurk territory. And it's the full story of, again, a story that's been famous in the locker rooms in wrestling for a long time. And I just knew the bare bones of it, that Angelo Savoldi was the heel, and Danny Hodge as a rookie, the great Danny Hodge from Perry, Oklahoma, that would go on to be the world junior heavyweight champion and still remembered, the Hodge Trophy in wrestling, an NCAA champion, the greatest American wrestler probably pound for pound ever produced. But his father one night, Danny Hodge's father, at a wrestling match, stabbed Angelo Savoldi, his opponent, because he wasn't smart. That was the bare bones of the story that we've been told all those years. You've heard it, right, Brian?
I heard that he went after him, and as he had the knife in the air, he said, "I hate Parsippany," and he went for him.
But no, basically, there's more details now, and I want to read this newspaper article, and it might take me a second because it printed out in 2 fucking pages, and I got to hold them up both together. But it's the Oklahoma City Times, May 28, 1960. Angelo Savoldi, with more than 70 stitches in his back and arm, declined Saturday to file state charges against his boxing opponent's father for slashing him with a knife in a Friday night match. William Edward Hodge, 50, of Perry, Oklahoma, thus was released from city jail on $20 bond from a police court complaint resulting from the municipal auditorium melee. Savoldi, an old pro, began talking Saturday about a rematch, which would keep a well-publicized rivalry alive. Savoldi said from his hospital bed he's more interested in meeting Hodge's son, Danny, again in the ring than in pressing any charges. Young Hodge and Savoldi are both professional wrestlers, but they were meeting in the boxing ring Friday night. So apparently, and again, before we go any further with this, Hodge also, and everybody in Oklahoma knew it, after his amateur wrestling success, before he became a pro wrestler, this, I don't know what you call them, investment group, management groups, people got together and said, we want to, because he had competed in the Golden Gloves also as a boxer. And he was actually, wasn't he the only guy to fucking win the Golden Gloves and an amateur wrestling title ever in the same year as well? But nevertheless, So this group got him to become a professional boxer. And he had about 7 or 8 fights, and he didn't like it, and he quit, and then he turned to pro wrestling. So this angle with Savoldi, they had wrestled a couple of times, and apparently they had done some kind of deal to, okay, now the stipulations this week, it's a boxing match. Let's see how you fight Hodge at a boxing match, huh? That type of thing. But that's a detail I never knew about, but it plays into the story because listen to this. In the 5th round of the match, Hodge's father suddenly charged down the aisle, stepped into the ring, and slashed twice at Savoldi's back with a pocket knife. The father was interviewed in jail Saturday prior to his release. In a boxing match, you're supposed to follow the rules, Hodge declared. I wouldn't have said a thing if this had happened in a wrestling match. My boy was down and Savoldi had hold of both ropes and was stomping on him. I didn't say anything last week when he did the same thing in the wrestling ring. But when you put on boxing gloves, there are certain rules you're supposed to follow. We've talked about this, Brian, that a lot of guys in the old days didn't smarten their family up because they just
or give them good tickets. He had to run down the aisle.
Well, yeah. But they didn't smarten the family members all the way up. And there later on, there's more of this, but Hodge's father said, like, wrestling, that kind of tomfoolery is allowed. Apparently, Hodge had, because here's the thing, it's Danny Hodge's father, even if he is somewhat a small town fellow. He knows that his son is the baddest wrestler and boxer in the goddamn country. So Hodge, to avoid having to smarten him up, said, well, they let us do the showbiz and everything in wrestling, but it's still rough. But the outcomes are legitimate, whatever the fuck, whatever cover story he'd given his dad somehow figured, well, now they're fighting on boxing rules now, so it ought to be different. And then, hold on, the doctor said the 2 knife wounds were not critical. We had to do quite a bit of repair work, a nurse said, but he isn't hurt critically. He feels pretty good this morning. Hodge and Savoldi had met in 2 professional matches at Stockyard Coliseum, but both matches ended in confusion. Promoters arranged the boxing match as a result. The elder Hodge, employee of a Perry implement firm, said he's seen all his son's professional bouts, both boxing and wrestling. In professional wrestling, that horseplay is all in the game, but I feel like boxing's different. So he cut the guy with a knife at his arm and his back.
So what had you heard about this before getting this information?
Well, I didn't know it was in a boxing match, and I didn't know, the whole buildup and that, again, that his father had somehow, because see, again, it wasn't surprising. All the guys said when they repeated the story was, yeah, Hodge never smartened his father up. But it's fascinating to know that he gave him some kind of fucking story so he wouldn't hit the ring on his wrestling matches. Hey, we're allowed to do that stuff, or it's okay there. It's showbiz, but somehow the dad thought, okay, boxing rules. Well, now he's got to treat my boy fair. He didn't tell him the whole goddamn deal was a work. And dad didn't pick up on it because it was a different time.
It's a great story, though. Does that help? Does that help or hurt the wrestling company for that to get in the newspaper?
Oh, God, it helped. Because people talked about that in Oklahoma for the next 20 years. Because Hodge was a legend to begin with. And now it's even bad. Also, for people who would say wrestling's fake, well, what the fuck? The guy was stomping his son, so he got in the ring and fucking cut him and put him in a hospital over a work. Actually, there have been fake stabbings and slashings. December of 1977, when Lawler had the rematch in the Mid-South Coliseum with Harley Race for the NWA title. And to keep his deal with Jimmy Valiant going, Valiant ran in, broke the bottle over his head, and slashed him on the chest with it. And Lawler bladed his chest and went to the hospital afterwards to get him to stitch it up, so it made the newspaper. But this was the element of premeditation was not there in the Savoldi Hodge conflict here. It was just, serendipitous. It got front page coverage.
I mean, there were stories about, I think, Mario Galento's wife, Smokey, like pulling guns on people, right?
Yeah, she had a gun in her purse sitting on the front row. And his opponents would, make sure to ask if she wasn't going to get too mad or whatever the case. And finally, that was early on, they were together for a while. I think finally she got smartened up, but then if anybody fucked with Mario or he believed they were fucking with him, then she still might pull a gun on him. But they had their daughter working before it was over with, Barbara Galento. But now here's the question, Brian. Two people who aren't smart, probably in many ways, but definitely to the wrestling business, two completely different setups, two completely different time periods, whatever. But when you think about it, which one would you have rather had? Would you rather had the guy, well, he took his pocket knife, he cut me on the back, he cut me on the arm, I got 35 stitches, it ain't serious. Or would you rather have a guy take for 23 free shots at your face, break your fucking facial bones, knock your teeth out, give you brain damage, put you into some type of short-term coma? And yeah. Because I know a lot of people are going to be saying, oh, see, it can be worse. He actually used a knife on him. He cut him. Fuck. If it's the devil or the deep blue sea, if it's one or the other, I think I'll take Hodge's dad, won't you?
All things being equal, knowing that Angelo Savoldi had a nice long life, yeah, I would take that. It's amazing Roger Jackson's still out there. There's been nothing, no repercussions for any of this yet. Hopefully we'll have an update next time. I know his dad's been doing interviews and giving comments on both sides of the issue, apparently.
His dad has a different story every show he does, and he does 5 shows a day. But one of the things, he ought to do some time in jail. Not prison, but just jail. And some community service.
And I think now they're also blaming Psycho Stu for having the audacity.
Well, he was obviously a menace to society, as drunk and out of control as he was there. He looked like he was in a soma coma.
Well, hopefully an update soon. Hopefully.
Yes. Hopefully some type of repercussions that we can report on the other fellow. But until then, Brian, maybe you think you're in a business where people are going to jump in the ring and slash you with a knife or shoot spinebuster you and bash your face in or just all around just treat you just bad. Maybe you want to change your business. Maybe you would like to go into the job you have right now and you'd like to tell all your coworkers to piss up a rope and you'd like to say thank you, fuck you, bye to the boss. And you'd like to go home and be your own boss, the master of your own domain, as they say. You can't just do that by yourself, can you, Brian? You got to have help. You got to have somebody in your corner. You got to have a professional entity that can lead you and guide you in all these ways so you can take your creativity and your good ideas and your various forms of this ought to work and turn them into reality where you can tell people where to go and what to do and how to park your car without taking instructions anymore in your life. Brian, is that not the life that the American dream aspires to?
I believe so, yes. Oh, what was that?
That was that kid on the bicycle. He's always ahead of the game. Wherever they're making money, he's riding right by. And folks, Shopify is, of course, who I'm talking about and who we're cha-chinging about. Shopify and our friends over there, and they are all wonderful, decent people. Many of them have passed background checks, and some of them will be off parole soon. They're the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States of America today. Because Shopify, they'll take you from the beginning and they'll walk you through it. Your own design studio they've got set up and ready and waiting for you. Make you build a beautiful online store. Accelerate your content creation. product descriptions, page headlines. Enhance your photography. Mine's been enhanced. Yours can be too. Imagine how big it can become when we're all enhanced. And use their marketing team. They're going to get the word out. They're going to be whispering behind your back. They're going to be talking in people's ears. They're going to have a whole team behind you. And social media campaigns where they will literally blister people with all manner of notifications about how to send you money. And their expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping and beyond. Beyond. There you go. So, folks, if you're ready to sell something, whether it be tamales, antiques, or potentially your own body, I don't know what you look like, but if you want to pursue the option, get a hold of me first. Send me a picture. I'll try to give you an update on at least an opinion, maybe a learned suggestion or two. But turn your big business idea into turn your big, there you go. I didn't ask for two of them. Turn your big business idea into that thing with Shopify on your side right now and sign up for your $1 a month trial period and start selling today. Sell like you're going to the electric chair. Sell like they're waltzing you across Texas. Sell like a pig under a gate. Shopify.com/JCE. That's the code. That's the secret code to get you the $1 a month trial period. Shopify.com/JCE, where they'll build your empire, sell your things, and send you a whole lot of the money for it. All you got to do is sit back with Pete in hand and watch the cash roll in. Now you're so free with them.
Now you're very free with it. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, we're just rambling and babbling, but of course, Shopify is there for you.
I was doing good. I don't know about you, what you're doing over here.
I'm under the weather, but Shopify is always there for you, no matter what the weather is. They can power us, and they can power you. That's what I was trying to say. Our friends.
You know, the elephant man talked in a more literate manner than you right now.
I've always admired John Merrick. But once again, Shopify, Jim.
Yes, /JCE.